The Galactic Council Station floated in silent orbit above Proxima Centauri, its silver structure gleaming against the dark of space. The station was vast, home to over 200 alien species, each with a voice, a vote, and a seat at the table of power. Inside its central chamber, the council had gathered, a semicircle of tall, thin seats occupied by leaders from across the galaxy. High Chancellor Vorik stood at the center. He was tall and skeletal, his skin a dull blue-gray. His long fingers wrapped around the edge of his podium as he looked out over the assembly with sharp, cold eyes. His voice, smooth but stern, echoed through the hall. 50 years, he began, have passed since the humans were accepted under our protection. 50 years of chaos avoided. 50 years of quiet from species once known for war, pollution, and division. A low murmur ran through the council members. Some nodded. Others glanced at each other, unsure. Vorik continued. Today, we finalize the Earth Charter. Today, we vote to extend Galactic Council oversight permanently for their own stability and for ours. The council chamber was massive. A dome of crystal glass hung above, displaying the starfield outside. Each delegate sat behind a glowing nameplate, translated into hundreds of languages by the station's AI. The mood in the room was tense but orderly. No one expected much debate. The vote was mostly symbolic. Earth hadn't asked for freedom. It hadn't even sent a representative. A small creature, the representative of the Arxan species, raised his soft-spined hand. High Chancellor, is there news from Earth? Any change in their governance? Communication, perhaps? Vorik barely glanced at him. None. As expected, Earth remains without central leadership recognized by this council. Their technology is outdated. Their people still divided. Their silence confirms their need for continued support. A few nodded. Others looked uncomfortable. Another delegate, from the Andari star system, spoke up. But they've caused no trouble in decades. Their emissions are down. There are whispers they've made progress. Vorik straightened, his eyes flashing. Progress without guidance is a danger. We once gave them freedom. They burned their forests. They poisoned their oceans. They built weapons that could destroy worlds. We will not make that mistake again. Silence returned. Vorik's words were heavy, his tone final. He raised a thin hand and gestured to the glowing council orb in front of him. The motion is clear. Let us begin the final vote. Earth will remain under galactic stewardship for its own good. The orb glowed brighter. One by one, council members began reaching forward, fingers ready to cast their votes, yes or no. There was no urgency. No one expected change. Earth had no voice here. But just as the first finger touched the orb, the chamber lights flickered. A low hum echoed through the dome. Suddenly, the main doors at the rear of the council chamber slid open with a loud hiss. All eyes turned. A group of figures stepped into the light. 5 humans, dressed in dark formal suits, their steps confident and controlled. At the front walked a tall man with calm eyes and a steady stride. His voice was strong but polite. My name is William Wilson. I am the appointed ambassador of the Reformed Earth Assembly. We request the right to speak before this council, before any vote is made. Gasps echoed around the chamber. The humans had arrived, uninvited, unannounced, and not one of them looked afraid. Silence fell over the chamber. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the council orb, still glowing at the center. William Wilson stood tall at the doorway, his hands at his sides. His dark suit bore no weapons, no technology beyond a slim translation band across his collar. Behind him stood 4 others, 2 men, 2 women, each calm, alert, and watching. High Chancellor Vorik stepped forward slowly, his expression unreadable. His voice, however, was sharp with disbelief. You have no right to enter this chamber uninvited. Earth is under council protection. You have no recognized authority. William's gaze didn't waver. That was true, but it is no longer the case. Earth has reformed. We have rebuilt. We come in peace and in good faith to speak for ourselves. Murmurs filled the room. Council members exchanged glances. Some leaned forward in interest. Others stared in confusion. A few watched with suspicion. The representative from the Arxan species rose from his seat. They arrived in their own vessel. Yes, another delegate answered. No council escort. No council clearance. Their flight path wasn't registered. How do they reach us? Asked a third. Earth has no long-range ships. Vorik turned to the gathered members. This is a disruption, a breach of security. Their presence is illegal. I request an immediate motion to have them removed from the chamber. But before anyone could reply, a council elder, a wrinkled, soft-spoken being from the Lutheri cluster, raised one translucent hand. Let them speak, she said gently. We have waited half a century for humans to find their voice. Perhaps we should listen to it. There was a pause. Then another hand went up. Then another. Reluctantly, Vorik stepped back. 5 minutes, he said coldly. No more. William nodded once. Then he walked forward, slow, measured steps. His delegation stayed at the back, respectful and silent. He reached the central podium and looked around. His eyes passed over beings of every shape and size, some with wings, some with scales, some with glowing eyes or fur. And yet, in that moment, he didn't look out of place. My name is William Wilson, he began. I was born on Earth 35 years ago. The same year, the Council placed our planet under stewardship. I was raised in silence, just like my planet. But Earth has not been sleeping. We've been healing. The chamber remained quiet. We remember what we were, he continued. We remember the wars, the disasters, the failures. But we also remember the choice we made, not to fight back, not to hide, but to learn, to improve. He tapped a small disc at his wrist. A soft light spread across the chamber. Above them, a hologram appeared. It showed Earth, blue oceans, green continents, clean skies. Next came images of vast solar farms, ocean restoration projects, cities powered by wind and light, families planting trees where deserts once stood, children learning in open schools, people working together, not apart. The council watched in silence. William's voice stayed calm and steady. Our governments fell, yes, but from the ashes, new leadership grew, united, fair, and forward-looking. We did not seek revenge. We did not build weapons. We built a future, and we are ready to take responsibility for it. Vorik leaned forward, his voice cold. Words are easy. Images can be faked. What proof do you offer that Earth is ready to govern itself? William met his gaze without hesitation. Our ship is proof. It was built in orbit around Earth. No alien parts. No outside help. Just human minds and hands. Quietly. Carefully. We did not come with weapons. We came with truth. There was a long silence after that. A tall delegate from the crystalline Sarnari people stood. Her voice rang clear. They have come without force. They have come with evidence. We should not cast votes until we have heard their full statement. Others nodded. Vorik's jaw tightened. The vote was scheduled. It will proceed. William turned to him. Then let us earn it before you cast it. Give us one session to speak. No more. If, after that, you still believe Earth should remain under your control, we will return home without resistance. The offer surprised many. Even Vorik raised an eyebrow. You would submit to our ruling? I would honor your process, William answered, even if it silences us again. Council members began to murmur again, but now the mood had shifted. William's calm manner, his lack of threat, and his respect for their authority struck a different tone. He wasn't there to fight. He was there to be heard. Vorik's eyes narrowed, but he knew he was outnumbered. Very well, he said at last. One session, then we vote. William nodded once more and stepped back from the podium. Behind him, his team remained still. Their faces showed no fear, only patience. The humans had returned, not as rebels, not as beggars, but as equals, ready to speak, and finally, ready to be heard. The chamber lights dimmed slightly, signaling a transition. The council had agreed to a special session, one dedicated entirely to hearing the human case. No vote, no interruptions, just words and evidence. It was rare, it was controversial, but it was allowed. William Wilson stood again at the center of the chamber. His posture was steady, his hands folded calmly in front of him. Around him, alien faces watched in silence, some curious, some skeptical, and others quietly anxious. He began without hesitation. 50 years ago, William said, we lost control of our world. The seas rose, cities burned, and governments fell. The council stepped in to protect us. For that, we are grateful. You gave us a chance to survive. He paused. No one spoke. But survival is not living. Survival is just the beginning. With a gesture, William activated another projection from his wrist. A soft, humming light filled the dome. The council chamber darkened as floating images hovered above them. They showed a ruined earth, flooded streets, dried-up farmlands, burning forests. The past. Then the images shifted, solar panels covering deserts, towers of algae cleaning polluted seas, restored wetlands, and entire communities farming the land together. Not rich, not flashy, just working, just clean. This is what we chose, William continued. We did not rebuild with armies. We rebuilt with tools. We outlawed all nuclear weapons. We dismantled every chemical warhead, not because we were forced, but because we had seen enough. A murmur of surprise ran through the chamber. He went on. We created a shared governance system. Every region of Earth has a seat, every person a vote. Our resources are managed by independent AIs, transparent and open source. Our energy comes from the sun, the wind, and the ocean. We have no off-world trade. Everything you see, everything we brought, was made by human minds and human hands. Behind him, one of his team stepped forward. She was older, with silver hair and calm eyes. She held a small sphere and raised it gently. My name is Dr. Alana Merrick, she said. I lead Earth's orbital science network. This device contains our full ecological recovery data, verified by independent systems, available to the Council for open analysis. She placed it on the podium. It hovered in place, glowing softly. No one reached for it yet, but all eyes were on it. William turned back. We did not announce ourselves before now, because we were not ready. We did not wish to draw attention. We did not wish to be challenged. We wanted to earn our place here the right way. Not through pride, not through pressure, but through proof. He stepped aside again. A third human came forward, younger and more energetic. My name is Amir Jalil, he said. I'm a teacher. I've spent the last 15 years helping kids learn history, science, peace studies. We've taught the next generation not just how the world broke, but how we fixed it. We taught them how to listen before they speak. A few council members leaned forward now. They weren't just watching, they were listening. William stepped back into view. We know the fear, he said. We know what the galaxy thinks of humans. Unstable, violent, selfish. We earned that image. But it is not who we are anymore. Then, the hologram above shifted one final time. It showed a crowd of people, thousands standing in the open sun. Children, elders, workers, and leaders. They stood in silence, holding signs that simply said, "Let us speak for ourselves." This was taken the day before we launched, William said. No speeches, no protests, just a request, a hope. Silence followed again. Then, for the first time, a council member stood. A tall, feathery creature from the Newland system. His voice was soft, thoughtful. What is it you seek, Ambassador Wilson? William answered clearly. Recognition. Responsibility. We wish to govern ourselves again, without council control. We wish to become a full member of the galactic community, on equal terms. Nothing more, nothing less. The silence stretched longer this time. High Chancellor Vorik sat motionless. He stared at the images still floating above them, his expression hard. At last he spoke. You have presented an impressive performance. But words and pictures do not erase history. The humans of the past were dangerous. How can we be sure the humans of today are different? William looked at him steadily. You can't, he said. Not completely. Trust is never given freely. It is earned. But we are here now, not to hide behind what we once were, but to be judged for who we are now. He stepped back. No more projections. No more speeches. Just silence. And in that silence, the council sat, processing what they had seen, what they had heard. The humans waited, not in fear, but in hope. The chamber was still. The last images of Earth faded from the air, leaving only the quiet hum of the council orb. The room felt heavier now, the air dense with thought. What had begun as a simple vote was now something else, something uncertain. William Wilson stepped back from the center, returning to his delegation. He stood tall, calm, but alert. The hard part was just beginning. High Chancellor Vorik rose from his seat. He moved slowly, but with purpose, his long robe brushing the polished floor. His face was calm, but his voice carried steel. "You speak well, Ambassador Wilson," Vorik said. "But charm and change are not the same. You come here with your polished stories and tidy images, but they do not erase what your people once did." He turned toward the other council members. "I remind this council of the human past. 2 world wars. A third nearly began with the launch of orbital weapons. Earth was nearly uninhabitable. Your species poisoned its own soil, destroyed its own forests, and divided itself until nothing remained." He turned back to William. "And now you ask us to believe that, in just 5 decades, you are no longer the same? That the same creatures who built bombs in secret now build peace with open hands?" William did not respond immediately. He waited. He let the words settle. Then he took a step forward. "Chancellor Vorik," he said calmly, "you are not wrong. We did all those things, and more. We broke ourselves, and we deserve the silence that followed. But we learned something powerful in that silence, something your records may never show." He looked around the chamber, locking eyes with anyone who met his gaze. "We learned humility." A few council members tilted their heads, intrigued. "We stopped thinking we were the center of the universe. We stopped thinking faster was always better. We stopped shouting long enough to hear what the world was saying to us." He turned back to Vorik. "You look at our past and see danger. I look at it and see a warning, one we carry with us every day. It is because of our failures that we value peace more than ever." Another council member spoke up, a tall, angular being with glowing eyes from the Valari system. "If we grant Earth independence, what happens when new divisions rise? What if your people fall into conflict again? What if they come here with demands, not requests?" William nodded. "Those are fair questions, and we have no guarantee that mistakes will never return. But no species, no matter how advanced, is perfect. Perfection is not the standard. Responsibility is." He paused, and Earth is ready to take responsibility for itself. The Valari delegate leaned back, thoughtful, but Vorik was not finished. "You call yourselves united," he said, "but unity is fragile. You have no off-world alliances, no shared trade. You are alone." William didn't flinch. "We chose to remain alone until we were ready. That time has passed. We came to open, not take. To join, not to demand. But we will not stay silent just because our voice makes others uncomfortable." A ripple passed through the chamber. Dr. Ilana Merrick stepped forward again. "Our people are not perfect, but they are ready to be part of something greater. We offer transparency, cooperation, and peaceful progress. We are not asking for power. We are asking for dignity." A young delegate from the Lorian Federation, a species known for caution, spoke quietly. "There is strength in asking. There is strength in waiting 50 years before speaking." William gave a small, respectful nod. Then came a voice from behind Vorik, an older counselor from the Yevon worlds, a race that had once faced extinction due to their own civil war. "My people once destroyed half of our homeworld," the Yevon said. "We were granted forgiveness and allowed to rebuild. Why not them?" Vorik did not reply. He knew what was happening. The council was shifting. The certainty of the vote had crumbled. Doubt had taken root. William stepped forward one last time. "We do not demand your trust," he said, "only your consideration. Let Earth rejoin the galactic community, not because we are flawless, but because we have earned the right to try." The room was silent again. But this time, it wasn't resistance that filled the air. It was possibility, and it was growing. The chamber lights remained dim, casting soft shadows across the council's curved walls. William Wilson stood at the center, his posture straight, but not stiff. The silence around him felt different now. Not hostile, but expectant. He had spoken facts. He had shown evidence. Now came something deeper. He looked around the room. He saw the Arxan delegate, small and cautious. The Valari, glowing and calculating. The Lutheri elder, silent but watching. Even Vorak, stone-faced as ever, seemed to be listening now. And so William began. "Let me tell you a story," he said, voice clear. "Not about governments or machines. Not about plans or programs. But about one night. A night on Earth that changed me." He let the words hang, drawing the council in. "I was 16. I lived in what used to be the northern plains of Canada. The winters were hard. The food was measured by the week. One night, the power grid failed. No lights, no heat, just snow and silence." He paused. "My younger sister had a fever. She was 6 years old. My parents had nothing left to give her. No medicine, no fire. We sat in the dark, holding her hands, thinking she wouldn't make it. A few council members shifted in their seats. But then, William said quietly, there was a knock at the door. It was a neighbor, someone we barely knew. He had walked 2 kilometers through the snow with a blanket, a solar heater, and 1 packet of herbal remedy. He didn't say much. He just gave it to us and left." William looked around the room again. "My sister lived, and I never forgot that moment, because it reminded me that kindness, quiet, simple kindness, survives anything, even the end of a world." There was silence again. No one interrupted. "That man," William continued, "was not a leader, not a hero, just someone who had enough to share. That's what Earth has become. A place where people give even when they have little. A place where we teach our children to care, not conquer. A place where we are trying, truly trying, to be better." He took a slow breath. "You asked earlier how you can trust us. You can't. Not fully. Not yet. But trust is not built in a day. It begins with a step." He pointed gently to the sphere still floating beside him, the device that held Earth's ecological data, social reforms, and new governing code. "That is our proof. And this," he said, touching his chest, "is our voice. We do not come in pride, and we do not come in shame. We come in truth. We are not perfect, but we are ready." For a long time, no one said anything. Then, slowly, a soft light shimmered across the room. One of the council seats turned green, an early signal of support. It came from the Lutheri elder. She didn't speak. She simply inclined her head. Then another seat turned green. And another. Not all. Not yet. But more than anyone expected. Vorak stood. His voice was calm but cold. "Your words move hearts, Ambassador. But hearts do not guide the galaxy. Laws do. History does. What if your people forget? What if the next generation is not as humble as you?" William looked him in the eye. "Then we will answer for it, as all sovereign peoples must. We are not asking for immunity. We are asking for responsibility." Vorak said nothing more. He sat back in silence. The council chair, a multi-eyed being with a voice like soft rain, finally spoke. "The hearing is closed. The vote will begin tomorrow. All members will have the night to reflect." William stepped back slowly. He had said all he could. No more arguments. No more slides or facts. Just one final truth. That the future of Earth would be decided by a room of aliens, many of whom had never set foot on his planet. And yet, somehow he felt peace. Because for the first time in generations, humanity had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. The dawn of a new day brought no sunrise in the Galactic Council Station. The stars outside remained still and cold, untouched by time. But inside the great chamber, everything had changed. The vote would begin. The council seats were full. Every delegate had returned, faces composed, expressions unreadable. Some had spent the night in deep thought. Others had studied Earth's data, rewatched William's speech, or consulted their homeworlds. No one took this lightly. At the center of the chamber stood the council orb, now glowing with a pulsing white light. It would record the final vote. One by one, each delegate would press their hand to the surface and declare yes or no. Yes, to continue ruling Earth. No, to grant Earth its independence. William Wilson and his delegation stood at the back of the hall. They had not spoken a word since entering. Their faces were calm, though each heartbeat felt like thunder. This moment would shape everything. The council chair rose. "This session will determine Earth's political future," the chair announced. "Each vote, is equal. Majority will decide. The results will be final. A deep silence followed. The first delegate, a thin, tentacled being from the outer systems, approached the orb. He laid his palm across the surface. A soft light blinked once. Yes. The word echoed clearly in the chamber. Vorik did not react, but William felt a quiet weight settle in his chest. The second delegate stepped forward, a glowing blue being with gentle features. No. The light blinked again. The balance was even. One by one, the votes continued. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. No. As the list grew, so did the tension. William quietly counted. 15 votes in. The majority leaned toward continued council control. Then came the Lutheri elder. She moved slowly, gracefully. Her eyes met William's for a brief moment before she placed her hand on the orb. No. A flicker of hope sparked. Then the Volari delegate. Their glowing eyes showed no emotion. No. A shift. The tide was turning, but just barely. The numbers were close. Too close. Vorik stood without being called. As High Chancellor, his vote held no extra weight, but his influence echoed loudly. He walked to the orb with silent pride and pressed his hand down. Yes. His voice was sharp. Final. William didn't blink. Now only a few delegates remained. The room had grown so quiet that even the hum of the station's life support systems felt loud. Every step forward carried the weight of an entire planet's future. Another vote. No. Another. Yes. Then came the Yevon delegate, the one who had once spoken of his own people's redemption. He walked slowly, as though the decision pained him. His hand hovered over the orb. Then came the word. No. The chamber held its breath. Only one vote remained. The final delegate was young, barely of age by her species standards. She had remained silent throughout the sessions, watching, listening. She walked to the orb slowly, clearly aware that the room now rested on her decision. She looked around once, then at William. He gave her a small nod. No plea, no pressure, just respect. She pressed her hand to the orb. No. The orb glowed bright green. The council chair stepped forward, eyes wide with solemnity. The vote is complete. The final count. 28 in favor of independence. 25 in favor of continued council oversight. The motion passes. The chamber was still for a heartbeat, then filled with murmurs, soft chatter, quiet disbelief. William closed his eyes. He did not cheer. He did not speak. He simply let the breath he had been holding slip quietly from his lungs. The chair turned to him. Earth is hereby released from council control. It will be recognized as a sovereign world with full rights to self-governance and galactic engagement. William stepped forward once more. Thank you, he said. On behalf of humanity, we accept this responsibility with humility, gratitude, and peace. Vorik did not move. His face remained cold, unreadable. He returned to his seat in silence. Other council members began to approach William, some curious, some smiling, others still unsure. But one thing was certain. Earth had spoken, and the galaxy had answered. The transport ship glided gently through Earth's upper atmosphere, its silver hull reflecting the rising sun. From the view window, the planet looked calm, blue oceans, vast green forests, shining cities nestled within nature. It was Earth, but not the one the galaxy remembered. This was a world reborn. William Wilson stood at the window, hands clasped behind his back. He had been quiet since they left the council station. Now, as the clouds broke beneath them and the familiar curve of his home came into view, a quiet smile touched his face. They were coming home. Behind him, the rest of the delegation sat quietly, watching the landscape unfold. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The mission was over. The result had been decided. Earth was free. As the ship descended, the capital came into view. It wasn't a capital like the ones of old. No towering skyscrapers or concrete jungles. Instead, it was built among trees and rivers. Structures of glass and stone blended with the landscape. Energy towers stood like tall flowers, turning with the wind. Roads were narrow, made for foot travel and light vehicles, not endless traffic. Their ship landed in a clearing beside the main hall of the Earth Assembly. A crowd had gathered, thousands of people from all across the planet. Farmers, teachers, engineers, elders, and children stood side by side. Flags of every region flew peacefully in the breeze. As the delegation stepped out, a quiet hush fell over the crowd. No drums, no loud cheers, just silence and respect. William stepped forward and nodded to the people. Slowly, they began to clap, not wildly, but warmly, with deep feeling. The sound rose gently, wave after wave of honest applause. It wasn't the celebration of a victory. It was the welcome of a family finally hearing good news. From the front of the crowd, a small girl stepped forward. Her hair was tied in bright ribbons, and her eyes were full of curiosity. She looked up at William. "Did we win?" she asked, her voice clear and soft. William crouched down so he was eye level with her. He smiled, not wide, but deeply. "No," he said. "We earned it." She nodded, not fully understanding, but somehow knowing it was important. William rose again and turned to the crowd. "We are no longer under protection," he said, voice strong. "We're no longer governed by anyone but ourselves. Today, we begin a new chapter, not as rebels, not as victims, but as a people who chose patience over pride and peace over power." The crowd listened, silent again. "The galaxy will watch us now," he continued. "Not to control us, but to see who we become. And we must show them, not through speeches, not through force, but through the quiet strength that brought us here." He paused. The wind moved gently through the trees around them. "We don't return to the past. We don't rise in anger. We move forward together." The applause came again, stronger this time. But still it wasn't wild. It was steady, like the heartbeat of a planet that had waited too long to speak. As the people gathered around their leaders, the sun climbed higher. Light filtered through the leaves and touched every face. Children ran along stone paths. Elders sat beneath shade trees, watching the moment. Drones hovered quietly, capturing history without getting in the way. Somewhere, a musician began to play a soft tune on a wooden flute. William stepped away from the crowd for a moment and looked to the sky. Out there, beyond the clouds, stars watched. Planets turned. Civilizations whispered. And now, Earth had joined them, not in silence, not in shame, but in strength. Not perfect, but ready.